Here are the notes that we took on point slope form, which we've abbreviated up here as P-S. So the formula for point slope form is right here in orange. It is y minus y sub 1 equals m parentheses x minus x sub 1. And if you remember from our earlier slope formula, the sub 1 is just differentiating points from each other. So we have here an example. Write in point slope form the equation that goes through 2, 3 and has a slope of 4. So you can see here where we did a little bit of color coding that the 2 is the x and the 3 is the y. So we went ahead and we looked at the formula, y minus 3, because this 3 is going to go right here, equals 4. 4 is the slope, goes right there, parentheses, x minus 2, because that's the x, it goes there. That is point slope form. Now the beauty of point slope form is we can simplify it a little bit and we can turn it into slope-intercept form. If we distribute the 4 to the x and the negative 2, we have y minus 3 equals 4x minus 8. Add 3 to both sides. And your slope-intercept form is y equals 4x minus 5. Where you can tell that that would be your y-intercept and your slope is 4. So down here is an example. Y minus 5 equals 1/2 parentheses x minus 3. We are identifying the slope. The slope is 1/2 because it's in the place where the slope is. And the point would be 3, 5. Because if you go back and look at the original formula, it's y minus. So these are both going to be positive because the minus sign is still there. It hasn't been changed. But on the other hand, if we go ahead and take a look at this one here, we have y minus 2 equals negative 2/3 parentheses x plus 1. We know our slope is negative 2/3 because of it's there. But our x is going to be negative 1. And our y is positive 2. And that's because this plus 1 means it was x minus negative 1, which made it a plus 1, which is why you have a negative 1 for the x term. Example down here, write in slope-intercept form the equation of the line that goes through 2, 5 with a slope of 1/2. You're going to go ahead and work on that, and that we will continue on the next page. So the first thing you're going to do is write it in point slope form. You have y minus 5 equals 2 parentheses, 1/2 parentheses, sorry, x minus 2. Y minus 5, distribute 1/2 x minus 1, and then add 5 to both sides. You have y equals 1/2 x plus 4. There are other ways to do this. You can go ahead and use slope-intercept form and then find the b and bring it back in. But I think that this way is a little bit easier, and we need some practice with actually writing it in point slope, which is right here. So now the last practice we're going to do is we have slope of 1/2. And it's going to go through the point 2, negative 3. Just write it in point slope form, just that. And you would get y plus 3 equals 1/2 x minus 2. I prefer the plus 3 instead of this. It's just a little bit neater. It's not incorrect, but plus 3 is just going to be a little bit easier to work with.